Hey, welcome to the Junk Project. I'm your host, Michelle Hill, and today we have the awesome opportunity to be joined with Phillip Sessions. How are you doing?
I'm great. How about you, Michelle?
I'm doing well, thank you. How's
Yeah,
uh
well,
how's your everything going? I know I see you posting so much of everything that's going on. It's really amazing.
yeah, there's several things going on. I got a podcast I just rebranded and relaunched today. My daughter just turned 5 months old, so enjoying that. I feel like she's getting ready to crawl. I know she's not there yet, but just so many changes constantly going on there. The life is just getting better, setting up some events here locally in the Greenville, South Carolina area, and getting ready to start doing some group coaching and some one-on-one coaching with people for helping them get better at speaking. And just a lot of things going on. Finished up webinar as well with our very own Caitlin Young of Apex, and it's really awesome to be able to be a part of that and help her community out and help them get better at speaking. So just a lot of things going on right now, and last thing being a book that the plan is to get that done by the end of quarter 2 of this year. So I've got to start on that and get that going, but that'll be the second book for me. So just a
Oh
couple
wow.
of things. Yeah.
Wow, I love doing these podcasts because I learn more than what I see on, Facebook and LinkedIn because I miss so much, because I'm working during the day, so I can't always see what's going on. I didn't even know you had one book. So that is like super awesome because I'm wanting to also write a book and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. So
Yeah, well, the best place to do that is go to otter.a. I always forget this. I think I should have it written down or tattooed on me, but it's either otter.ai or io.io, one of the two. But basically, it's a free transcription service, and you can go and speak your book out. And that to me was a lot easier than typing because I'm not the best at typing. And they've
mhm.
got an app, so you can literally do that while you're driving down the road because I'm sure you're just like me, where you get these thoughts of inspiration while you're driving. Well, of course, you don't want to be texting, especially
Right.
a book. So you can speak that out and then go back and look over it and edit it. And it'll have the text there for you. And you can actually play that text and then hear what you said because it may put some other word in there and it doesn't make sense, but you're going to hear what you say. So then you can go back and do that. And that's a lot of what I did to do that. And then self-publishing through KDP, which is Amazon, kdp.amazon.com. So I did all self-publishing, went through Fiverr. So if you got any questions about that, we'll certainly help you out with that. But really
Cool.
speaking it out was very beneficial for me because I started typing and I was probably about 40 pages in, and I had a friend review it. He's like, dude, you speak so much more than you typed here. Speak it out. And he's the one that actually got me onto this transcription service and tried it out. And my book got up to, I think, about 85 pages. So I doubled the amount of
Wow.
volume of the book because, yeah, 40 was not going to cut it. I was like, 80 was kind of the minimum for the
Yeah.
book that I wanted to put out.
That's pretty cool. And my joke is about speaking. I shouldn't have dropped out of Toastmasters because I'm in and out of Toastmasters. Like
Mm,
now I'm out of it. I still get all the emails for it, but it's just difficult for me to show up. And then I'm like, Toastmasters to me, it's like school. So I'm like,
hmm.
it makes it worse. I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? Uh, I just try and be more aware of the and ifs, the crutch words and stuff.
Hmm.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, it's good to have practice. I mean, Toastmasters is really awesome, and learning to be a better speaker is awesome. But yeah, I suck at both. So
Yeah, and that's a lot of where I got my foundations at is
mhm,
going through Toastmasters myself, and it's a great spot to start, especially if you
yeah,
have a very limited budget. It's roughly $100 a year, which is a very, very small investment in your
yeah.
professional development and really leadership skills as well. So all that speaking skills and everything. But you're like me, you're willing to invest in a coach, and so that's a great avenue. And it's hard when you've already invested in a coach. You can kind of get that short track to learning what
Hmm.
you need to
Yep.
then go through Toastmasters. And because you're not paying as much, it's not as much of a short track. I mean, it's a great opportunity, something that even if you do have a speaking coach or any kind of coach, it's still a great place to go and learn more.
Hmm.
But it's also hard and difficult whenever you're used to getting that fast track because you're not going to get it at Toastmasters.
Yeah. You know, I've come to find out, and my family has too, that apparently I have my own language. So I'm like, you know, I'll put two words together that, you know, were separate words, but now they're one. And my family's like, oh my God, we gotta learn this now. And I'm like, sorry, I'm losing my language. So I'm gonna, I thought of this the other day of, you know, downloading an app where you learn a word a day, right?
Mm,
And then I thought, well, I don't want to just learn the word. You know, kind of like Toastmasters, exactly like Toastmasters. I want to see if I can use this word somewhere in a sentence during the day,
yeah.
right? So I'd have to write it down on paper and keep that paper with me to remember this is the meaning of it. See if I can use it in a sentence. That way I can build up my vocabulary, because I swear it's going somewhere.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
haven't heard that before. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's just the vocab and not your mind as well, because then that would be a whole nother issue.
Well, yeah, yeah. You know, it's like one time I was trying to say stomach and tummy and it came out stummy. And so, you know, and then I couldn't think of the police department. So I said the cop house or something like that. And so my family likes to go, oh, are you going to the cop house today? I'm like, dude, it's not like I visit them daily. No. So,
That's
you know,
hilarious.
so it's just, I just can't think of the words at the time that I need them. And so
Mhm.
something else comes out, you know, because I'm trying to explain something to my family and I'm like, just whatever. It's just, you know, if it's the restroom, it's the pee place, right? So I can't think
Mhm.
of the whatever. So it's just funny. And I'm like, yeah, it's a little concerning at times, because I'm like, I don't know if it's like onset dementia or what, but yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
No, no, yeah, but
Crazy, but that also makes you unique, so that's the important part about business is being unique in the way that you speak online and everything. It needs to be unique so you can stand out. So maybe
yeah,
that's what you do. That's how you start marketing yourself
yeah,
and doing your
yeah.
videos.
Well, you know, I talk to my customers and I don't want them to go, God, she doesn't even know a word, you know? She's
Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
so, but my customers are awesome, you know, they're very patient with me, so it works.
Yeah, that's
It
good.
works.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and I was gonna say with your little 5-month old, I mean, my son's 30 now, so I remember, you know, when
Mm,
he was young, and I was like, God, before you know it, they're graduating university, you know. So I enjoy every minute. It's just amazing. It's so fun when they're young. It's when they get older, you
yeah.
know, you're like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely am enjoying them, and that's or enjoying her, and that's been a difficult thing, though, to be honest, trying to build the business and everything and still having a full-time job, that it's difficult to balance all that because I'll get up, crazy early, 3:15 in the morning, and about 4 o'clock, she decides she wants to be up with daddy and she wants to eat
Oh,
and everything. And so I try to get up at 3:15 to start taking care of some business stuff. So then when I get home from work, I don't have to spend 3 or 4 hours or trying to work on the business. I can spend just maybe an hour or two and then be able to have other time for the family.
yeah.
But she likes to get up with me. It's hit or
Oh,
miss. So it's nice, it's sweet, and I don't mind because then I'm also kind of giving back to my wife where she doesn't have to get up at that
yeah,
time. But it makes it difficult because then it's like, well, here were my plans to work on the business, but now I'm working on the daughter.
yeah,
But for me, family is so important. And I mean that's the reason why I'm getting into business and
yeah,
creating my own business and doing the coaching. So if I avoid family to work on that, it's kind of
yeah.
doesn't it's counterintuitive and it goes against all my core values.
Yeah. Well,
So
and that's great, because you don't want to, you know, I've seen people that I've met in my life and they're like, you know, I regret not spending enough time with my kids and
mm,
having to work, you know, two jobs. And, you know, they had to work two jobs, but they might have been able to put a little bit more time with their kids. And so they grow, you know, they grow older regretting that. And so I think that's awesome, because that's something you just, I hate regret. I've refused to live in regret. So I do the best I can in the moment, and it might not be 100%, but it's the best that I can give at that time. And that way I don't live in regret. But yeah, I think that's awesome that you do get up and spend time with her. And that's really neat, because they're at 5 months, they're pretty cool, you know.
oh yeah, yeah, she's finally starting to eat and everything, and we just had to up how much milk she's having, and it's
Yeah.
just crazy. So hopefully soon, we just started with oatmeal, and hopefully next month we'll actually get some actual foods. I mean, it'll still be all pureed and
Yeah.
everything, but still be nice to start getting there and just have her start sitting up. She's starting to roll over, but not sitting up. So
Yeah.
it's really fun seeing her grow, and I'm just looking
Yeah.
forward to when actually I can start developing that mind and helping her get that self-development that I didn't get as a
Yeah.
kid, and really even as an adult. I mean, I had
Oh
to
yeah.
finally find it in my mid-20s, but then I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball. But I know a lot of people are like, "Man, you started so young." But a lot of that comes down to the internet, to be honest, and social media. You think social media started like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and so that's when I think a lot of people really started getting into being able to find that self-development. So
Yeah.
that you happen to be able to find this one mentor who was a super successful person, but it was only if you happen to be in that area. But now
Yeah.
you can be anywhere and get connected with that person, which goes back to Apex with us, right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
around Ryan Stewman, all these
Yeah.
other very successful business owners,
Yeah.
simply because we have internet.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I'm 50, and so I feel like I'm in remedial class when I look at everybody else. But then I'm like, yeah, you know what? I used to think I was a quick learner, and I used to think I got things up, and I don't. I realized
Mhm.
I'm like slower than Christmas, especially if you tell me a joke, it might be like I might never get it. So, you know, um, I just I've just come to the conclusion I look at things differently. I respond to things differently, and I don't understand a lot of things. Like, and it's funny, I work with my competitor, and he's working with me on rebuilding my website. And he's like, I go over there yesterday, and he's like, do this, this, and this. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking Chinese? What are you talking about? I have no idea, and he's right there. It's like I was trying to work on my about me page, and I'm like, I don't know what
Mhm.
to write. So I finally wrote something about aliens and zombies. He goes,
Oh man. Yeah, I had that same trouble with about me section. Like I know things about me, but it's almost like I feel like I'm just sitting here being selfish and talking about myself. But I know it's needed, but I still struggle with that too. People
well,
ask for a bio and I'm like, what do I
yeah.
put? What's important?
Well, and I did research, you know, Google is my BFF. I swear I love
Hmm.
Google.
Hmm.
Because but it reminds me of the movie I Robot with Will Smith, right?
Hmm.
And there's the scene where he's that I can't think of whatever you call it. But anyway, he's like, you have to ask the right question, right? So that's exactly Google. You have to
Hmm.
ask the right question. So I'll ask a question, and if it's not the answer I'm looking for, I'm like, okay, now I got to figure out another way to answer the or ask the question, right? But what I did with my about me page is I'm like, how do you write an about me page? And then I read, and a lot of people are like, well, it's not technically about you. It's more about maybe what you I can't remember how they worded it, but kind of what you do. And so I think what I wrote is something like it has on the large text like what I can do for you. And then I put something like we provide removal services from aliens to zombies or something like that,
Hmm.
And then he put like my age and my weight, right? And I'm like, dude, I don't want my weight on there. So, but he put that, and he put my height. And the reason he put that was because, you know, he wants people to realize I'm not this big person doing all this work, right?
Hmm.
So he put
Hmm.
like 140, right? And I go 140-ish. And then I put maybe even 130-ish, which is like way higher than both of those. But
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I wanted my about page to be fun. And,
yeah.
and then I said something like, we provide removal services for this, and this. Oh, no, I said, we get asked a lot if we can remove spouses, pets, and politicians. And no, we do not remove those, right? Sorry. So it was something
Yeah.
like that. But I wanted it to be fun, and I wanted it to be different where people go, I'll remember her, right?
Hmm.
So sometimes being weird and quirky really works out, because like I have this LED name badge that I wear sometimes to networking,
Hmm.
and people will go, oh, I remember you wore that badge last time, or you
Yeah.
know So I like to do off the wall stuff because that's what people remember. They don't want to see, somebody else in the meeting doing, just being consistent. So you guys stick out.
Mhm. You're
Sometimes
so right about that.
sometimes I'm not saying you do this, but sometimes I wear like a lime green skirt, I'm like, no, that's a little more difficult to wear.
Mhm,
And I'm just not a skirt person anyway, so it is
mhm.
very difficult to wear. But sometimes I'll wear that if I'm in a big crowd just to stick out more, the same concept of guys wearing like flamboyant suits, you
Mhm.
know, but it works, and when you're weird, people remember you. And of course, everybody thinks I'm like just trashy because I'm the trash lady or whatever. So that helps, I guess. I
Ye
don't know.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you definitely have to have that unique style to you. Whatever you do, you have to make sure it's unique as well. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting that your competitor, as you say, is actually helping you out. That's really cool. It's really nice of him as well to really help you out. And it's not very usual that people would do that,
Yeah.
especially
And
competitors.
yeah, and I need to get some video clips, but like we did a hoarding house. I mean, there was about 7 or 8 of us locally, right,
Mm,
that have been working together. And so on these big jobs, we instead of calling, you know, through temp agencies to get more help, we call our own people because for one, they know what to do and
mhm,
they know how to act, and you don't have to explain, hey, you got to do this, and you got to do this, and you know don't talk about this, and they just know, you know
yeah,
and so you're going in with experienced professionals, and it's really so nice to work with. And I've always loved wanting to work with my competition because when I drove 18 wheelers, they do the same thing. All these fuel companies work together, right?
mhm,
So if one company can't go take care of the store, now they're paying for it, right? But you
mhm,
call your competitor and you say, hey, can you go take care of this store? And so
mm,
I was always like, I don't understand how the concept is for them, but I just thought, oh, this is cool that everybody works together. And I'm like, I've always wanted that where, um, you know, everybody helps each other out, right? And
yeah,
so I'm really good friends with him. His name is Ricardo. He's with the Junk Guys, and he's just been amazing. Really a great mentor as far as junk removal goes because he's been in it longer, and we're completely opposite of how we operate our business, but he's very good at posting videos, and I see you do a lot of that on LinkedIn. I'm like,
mhm.
man, I need to do that, and I'm like, man, it's hard though. It is so hard. You do like how many a day?
I usually do one a day.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
are you on LinkedIn more than you are on Facebook?
No, I would say I'm on Facebook more than LinkedIn, but I'm trying to bring more of my presence over there because with the soft skills, teaching these soft skills of speaking and leadership and communication and leadership, that's going to be more of where my target audience is at. And so I'm
Yeah.
actually working on changing up my strategy a little bit and actually I'll use more of my Facebook page and Instagram kind of more as a personal branding page, and then using TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn as more of that professional educational side, especially YouTube and TikTok. I still need to figure out exactly what I'll do with LinkedIn because I know it's more business oriented, but I still do want to show my personal brand some as well because I'm connecting with people. But TikTok is either you're getting educated or you're laughing. It's one or the other. There's really no in between right now, at least. And then YouTube is, you have the funny stuff as well, but typically that's the second most searched place. So, hey, how do I get better at public speaking? You might go watch a YouTube video. So I want to make sure that my YouTube presence is all about that. So that's
Yeah,
where I'm going to start changing up my strategy instead. And
I
so go
like
more
that.
personal branding and then education on the certain platforms.
I was surprised you were on TikTok. I didn't think about that because I've done a couple of TikToks,
Mhm.
but I don't know. It's just kind of weird for me. I don't know. But I've heard a lot of
Yeah.
people. My stepsister, she's around my age. I mean, and she does it for personal, but she gets on TikTok a lot. And I'm like, this is crazy. And she gets a lot of response. So, I always think of it more for younger, but it seems to be just growing for
Oh,
any
yeah.
age.
I think it's one of the fastest growing social medias right now. So it's crazy how much reach you can get with that. And from my understanding, what I'm seeing, they don't really limit your reach either. As long as you've got something that people are going to watch, they're putting it out there.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good platform overall. I mean, and it's usually more of a fun platform.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's either you're having fun, you're making funny videos, or you're educating people. It seems like people want one or the other. It's not really a personal branding page per se. Not that you couldn't make it that, but I feel like they want you to get people on there to laugh or educate them, and they're going to stay around for that. Especially if you can do the edutainment, so you're educating and entertaining at the same time.
Yeah.
That's always the sweet spot, but that's hard to do a lot of times. You got to figure out ways to be able to do that. And so that's something that I'm personally working on and challenging myself to be able to find ways to be more funny and more and with the education, and not just strictly education and kind of serious or inspiration
Yeah.
as I do as well.
It is hard. And I think this is why I struggle with writing a book, because I'm like, I don't know how to share what I know, right? Because
Hmm.
honestly, I'm not attentive to a lot of things. Like
Hmm.
I've just taught myself, okay, so I don't always realize, my husband likes to go, man, you're just a mess up, right? And he doesn't mean it in a bad way,
Yeah.
but I'm like, really? I had no clue. But then he's like, look, your trailer had this problem, your truck had this problem, or this had this problem. I'm like, oh, I don't look at problems as problems,
Hmm.
but I've been taught myself that, and I've been doing that for so long. So it's hard for me to go, oh, I had this problem today, and this is how I fixed it, or this is how I mentally dealt with it. Because I'm like, I don't even realize I have problems, but I have problems. Does that make sense?
Hmm. I could see like a book title for you being like going from trash and coming out of the trash smelling like roses, or
Oh
finding
yeah.
the gold within the trash, or something
Yeah.
kind of along those lines.
Yeah.
And really talking, and for you, would be talking about those stories. So telling that story, using those applications to allow people to understand, or I guess get the application from that story you tell. And storytelling is the best way to educate people, besides obviously edutainment. But as far as like telling a story that has an application to it, because I could spit facts at you all day and say, yeah, Michelle, you need to get better at speaking, don't use ums and ahs. But if I give you an actual story with that about how I overcame that, or for instance, there's actually a story I tell a lot of times is, and it's a true story, but I was in college, and one of my friends, he had done our whole project, the whole thing. And he was just like, here's the part you present on. And he told the other guy, here's the part you present on. And we had no clue. I mean, he literally did the whole thing. But then we got up there to present, and he was stuttering the whole time. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
9 yards. He got a lower presentation grade than we got because we didn't stutter. So because of him stuttering, he sounded like he didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
and so that's the story. I mean, and it just goes to the power behind the ums and ahs, and shows you're not confident, and it makes it look like you're not competent either. Yet he knew everything and we knew nothing. But because we literally did what he told us to do, and it was correct as well. I mean, it has to be correct also. But because of that and our confidence and not stumbling over words, we end up getting a better grade than him. So again,
Wow.
that's why you tell that story and tie a story to, because I could have said, hey, yeah, we all need to work on our ums and ahs and
Yeah.
double clutches, the so or and is a double clutch. But
Yeah.
me telling you that story helps you understand the importance behind that. So
Yeah.
that's where that storytelling comes in. So really you getting in that book and talking about stories and how you overcame things. And I don't know the objective of your book, but if you're trying to talk about going from trash to gold, or
Hmm.
trash to smelling like roses, if you will, and playing on your
Yeah.
business, kind of business. I know you're not a trash person per se,
Yeah. Yeah.
but still, like, being able to play on that, use the stories you have to talk about how you overcame this obstacle, or the trailer broke and what did you do to get that, or
Yeah.
you posted a video of you overcoming that fear that you had of moving that refrigerator all by
Yeah.
yourself, which I could totally understand, being a huge fear, being by yourself, and you're what, 100 pound,
Yeah.
5'2" lady.
Yeah. I like that 100-pound. Yeah,
So
we'll go with
so
that.
it's small but mighty, and you overcame this big obstacle. So telling that
Yeah,
story behind that. So that's really what you need to do within your book, having these
yeah.
stories about things that you overcame and then be able to give that application after that. And
I
that's
like
how
that.
we educate people, because the as the saying goes, facts tell and stories sell. So the
Yeah,
more stories you can speak, that you can tell, the more you're going to be able to sell, the more people are going to trust you and understand what you're talking about. Because it's like going to school and being hit with a fire hose. You're like, oh man, this is so much information. I
yes,
don't know what's going on. But if you give me a story, I can remember that. Just like with you going to networking events and having the flashy name
yeah,
tag or the lime green skirt, that's something that people can remember you by. They may not remember your name. They
yeah,
may not remember exactly what you do, but when you call them and you're like, yeah, I'm the one with the lime green skirt. Like, oh
yeah,
yeah. And again, if they don't remember anything about you besides that, they're going to now know you a little bit,
right.
and they're going to trust you more because of that. But if you're just like everybody else and you don't stick out, they're not going to remember you, and you're not going to be able to move on to that next step
Yeah,
with them.
and I was taught for, I mean, 10 years least. Like, it was with my late husband, and he's like, I don't want the story, I want the point. Because
Mhm.
once you get the point, you don't need the story.
Yeah.
You already got the gist of it. So for 10 years, 24/7, that's what I was trained to do, right? And so now people are like, oh, no, 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 we want the story. And I'm like, oh God,
Mm.
how do you
Well, and that,
write the story? It's difficult.
yeah. So that comes down. I can totally understand that, where you struggle with that because now you're going to change how you've been doing things for the past 10 years. But that comes down to knowing your audience. So who is your audience? We think about the corporate structure. When I'm talking to the president of the company or the VPs of the company, I'm going to get more to the point. I'm not going to give all the backstory, all the details or anything like that. I'll give some very high level details that they need to know in order to understand the information I'm trying to give to them,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to give them all the details because their time is more valuable than mine in the
Right.
corporate setting if I'm, say, just the engineer.
Hmm.
So I have to make sure I give them enough details that they can understand, but then have them go on. But if it's me as an engineer talking to another engineer, I'm probably going to give a ton more details because they're going to need to know all those nitty gritty details so they can take the information, process it, and move on, because they also speak that same language, if you will, and can understand the details as well. So it's really
Hmm.
about knowing your audience. So your late husband, yeah, direct to the point, just let them know the point, move on.
Yeah.
But other people, they want to hear some of that story. They want to hear some of that. But then as well, with you writing the book, with you speaking on stages, you have the captured audience. You know who your audience is or who you want them to be if you're just
Right.
starting out.
Yeah.
And so you create what that audience wants to see.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to get that feedback from them and realize, oh, okay, they really don't like it when I'm straightforward, or they really don't like me going overboard with these stories. So let me find that happy medium. So that's
Hmm.
some of the analytics you'll find, but you're creating yourself on social media, which is a beautiful thing and what we should really be doing in our lives as well. But you're going and creating yourself and creating that tribe that's going to follow you and listen to you. So you decide how much story you do or don't tell.
Yeah. And I really want to work on this book because I would love to be able to, I love to give my customers gifts. That's
Mm,
where the soap came from. I've slowed down with the soap because it's got a logo of my dog on it. Everybody thinks it's dog soap. So I'm like, all right, got to
mm,
revamp that one. So
mm.
until then, I would
Yeah.
love to be able to give my customers a book and go, here you go. This may or may not help you with what you're going through, because with some customers, you know, someone passed away and the parents passed away and they give their grown kids all this stuff,
Mm,
and I see what it does to the kids. And so I want them to understand it's okay to let go of this stuff. You're not letting go of your parents, because a
mhm,
lot of people, that's where I see a lot of problems. And so that's kind of what I'm gonna, not through the whole book,
mhm.
but share some. And so you gave me that idea. So I write notes when I interview people because I'm like, oh man, this is so good. I got to write this down, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's super smart.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love about podcasts. Got to change the subject just a little bit there, but I love that about podcasts because you get that information from people and typically free. I know some people charge to be on podcasts.
Yeah.
I didn't charge to be on this, just so
Appreciate
transparent there.
it.
But and I don't charge either. But you get that free coaching pretty much from people,
Yeah.
or you get these ideas that come up just from us having a conversation. It's just really awesome. That's one thing I love about podcasting. And I always suggest people to start a podcast for, if anything, that reason, but really to leave that legacy behind as well. So I'm proud of you for starting your
Yeah.
podcast. I know it's newer for you. So really proud of you for starting the podcast. And speaking of that, how are you liking it? How is it going for you so far?
It's going really well. Sebastian Rusk is helping me,
Okay.
and I had told him I had like 9 interviews already, and he's like, "Oh gosh," because we just went live, but the
Hmm.
only thing we posted was the teaser. So now we're going to start posting the interviews,
Mhm.
and like this is so out of my norm,
Mm.
so I'm really proud of myself that I completely came out of my comfort zone. And in fact, I did not say anything to my family till like just the other day. And so this has been going on for several months.
Mm.
And I was shocked at the response. So I let them hear the teaser and they're all like,
Mhm.
"Oh, damn, you sound so professional." And
Nice.
I'm like I never do any other time, but okay, I give it to you, family. I probably don't.
Oh,
Probably
that's
don't sound
hilarious.
professional to them ever.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I was really shocked at their response because I didn't expect that.
Mhm.
And I know, I've listened to other people talk and they're going, yeah, your first podcast might suck. And I see a little bit improvement on each one. And I know eventually as time goes on, it's just going to be amazing. And some weeks I don't have as many interviews just because I might feel a little tired or overwhelmed because I'm still unfortunately doing everything in my business. So I'm still
Mhm.
networking, marketing, uh, doing the work, doing the podcast, getting things done, other projects I have going. So I'm really good at overwhelming myself with stuff, but I really want to stay consistent with this because I love what I learn from talking to people. And like I said, I don't get to see all these posts on the internet. And so I
Mhm.
learned so much getting to interview people. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea we had so much in common. I'm like, Michelle Fuller was that way. I'm like, wow, I had no idea. And so I love it. It's really cool. And like I said, I don't know. It's just so out of my comfort zone that I like it because I'm really proud of myself. And that's why I really want to work on the book because not only do I want to show some people, hey, look at this. I'm capable of this too. I know you guys didn't think so because I probably don't act that way, but check it out. So it's kind of like that I want for the book. And then I want to be able to help people with the book. And I don't know. I'm just so excited about so many different things and looking to grow my business so I don't have to constantly work in it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think I got way off point, but
No, no, I mean, that's part of it too, like growing the business through the podcast. That's a really part of the
yeah.
funnel, if you will. So that's awesome that you started it. And you're right. You get to really connect with people and really understand that, hey, we actually are more in common
Hmm.
by just getting that advice from everybody. And really proud of you for stepping out, like I already
Yeah.
said. But that's also how we grow. I mean, you
Yeah.
say you're very uncomfortable doing this. You don't seem like it from
Yeah.
us
Thank
talking
you.
right here,
Yeah.
but it is something that we have to grow through and get more comfortable with. So
Yeah.
that's the only way to grow is, as you know, and for the audience, if you want to grow, that's the way you grow is by doing things that are out of your comfort zone.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
start that podcast. I always
Yeah.
tell people to just get started,
Well,
especially when it
and
comes to speaking.
again, like I do a lot in local networking. I'm a member of 3 local chambers. And so what I feel like it allows me to do is instead of saying, hey, I'm Michelle with all junked up, take my card, is hey, want you to be on my podcast, and let me, represent your business, or you share your business and let's promote it. And so I love that aspect of it, because I don't really like to just push my stuff on people. I'd rather be able to share their business and do something to help them out. And this is my way of doing that. And so that's what I love about it too. A
Yeah,
lot,
yeah,
mostly.
and it's a powerful way to give value, because your
Yeah.
audience is somebody I don't reach right now. But now, because I'm on your podcast, I
Yeah.
get to be in front of your audience, and vice versa. As
Yeah.
if we swap podcasts and everything. But then also you're bringing that value directly to that business owner. You're not directly asking them, but we have conversations before and after. This has happened on every single podcast I've ever been on, every person that I've had on my podcast, because we always end up having some conversation before and we have some conversation after. And business always ends up coming up. And it may
Mhm.
not be a sell or close or anything right then and there, but we talk about it. And now they've gotten to know me, they've gotten to like me, and gotten to trust me through
Yeah.
the podcast. So that's the same thing that's happened for you, which is just why podcasting is so powerful. Is
Yeah.
it's easy tool to bring value, and then you're bringing value to your audience as well. So it's like
Yeah.
it's a win-win all over the place. Like win,
Yeah.
win, 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 win.
Yeah. Anyway, it's like funny when I brought it up to my family, because my family doesn't listen to podcasts. I'm like, do y'all know what a podcast is?
Yeah.
'Cause this is what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they do. They just don't listen. They'll listen to the radio, but not podcasts. But anyhow,
Oh yeah.
I want to ask you a couple of questions, just
Okay.
fun questions, and then we'll end with you leaving some contact information.
Okay.
So, what is your superpower?
My superpower, I feel like making people feel like they're valued. For me, that's what I'm always a huge supporter, always lifting people up and inspiring them. It's really just making them feel valued. And that's really why I got into speaking coaching, to help people build that confidence, to get their message out there, to be able to impact the world. So helping lift them up to become better. So for me, it's really just helping people feel valued,
I
feel
love
like
that.
they're yeah.
I like that. I like that. That's a great answer. If you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it say?
I don't know. Right now,
That's a tough one.
I'll go with it's a hashtag I really just randomly created. Actually, as I was recording my intro, I had typed up the intro a while back and I spoke it out. I'm like, that was actually pretty cool. At least in my mind, it was cool.
Yeah.
But it's hashtag fire up the mic. So
Oh, I
just
like
fire up
it.
the mic, get going. So I'm gonna put hashtag fire up the mic on the billboard.
I loved your little microphone that you made with your 3D printer. I forgot
Yeah.
about that till you just said that.
Mhm.
I was looking at 3D printers, so now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna see if he's okay if I steal this idea.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's
It
a
was
big thing. I've
awesome.
seen people that'll give gifts to their podcast guests and stuff. So I'm expecting that dog bar of soap from you. No, just
Yeah,
kidding.
okay. Yeah. I had to explain to people, look, it's people soap. You can use it on your dog, because I use it on my son's dog, but I
Yeah,
swear it's not dog soap. So there
yeah,
you go.
yeah.
But yeah, I'll get you some. If nothing else, when I see you in Dallas.
Okay.
But
Well, actually, won't be in Dallas, unfortunately. Yeah, just with all the baby stuff going on. We got a
oh
lot of
yeah.
things going on, so I hate to miss it, but I will be
Aw.
missing it,
So
unfortunately.
you're not gonna come to the MDM?
No, no, I wish. Oh, it would be so awesome. I know there's gonna be some amazing speakers.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, you know what? Family first, man.
Yep,
That's it.
exactly, exactly.
But I'll get you some dog soap.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Looking forward to it.
All right. How would you like to be remembered?
Being that person of inspiration and being that person that was always there, kind of almost being that cheerleader for other people, because I feel like I have a gift as well of seeing the potential in others, and I always try and bring that out and always include others as well, and just really being that inspiration for people. That's what I want to be remembered as, the guy that always inspired you to go after all your dreams.
I like that. That's awesome. That's awesome. And one last question. How do you get rid of the trash in your life when it piles up?
I'm pretty good about just when it's done, it's over with. I just forget about it and just move on. So for me, I
Throw it
guess I
away,
don't
so to
actually,
speak.
yeah, I guess I don't really let it clutter up. It's just something that I guess if it's a bad situation, I just count it as it is what it is, move on. There's nothing I can change. And I just, yeah, just literally throw it away and just forget about it.
I love that. That's awesome.
These
So,
are those are awesome questions. I love those questions.
well, like 10 minutes before my first podcast, I'm like, oh God, I need to have something, for questions to ask. So again, Google, my
Yeah.
BFF. I'm like, what kind of, I don't even remember how I asked it, but what are some podcast questions to ask? Oh, a ton of stuff came up. So I'd read through it and just kind of pick the ones I liked. And
Mm,
I have about 45 questions, but they're on a sheet, like right here, taped up.
mhm,
But I think what I'm going to do is take them off the sheet and put them on an index card. Right.
mm,
So, and then I just pick a card that way. I don't, because I've noticed I tend to pick the same questions because I
mm,
like the questions. So, what I want to do is put them on a index card and in a little container, and then I just randomly pick a question.
mm.
So that's
Yeah,
what
that's
I'm
very
gonna do.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth with like the questions. I mean, the questions are awesome, but sometimes I go back and forth on podcasts because sometimes people ask the same exact questions. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's cool because you get to see how people think differently
Hmm.
based on the same questions. But then sometimes it's nice to have different questions. So
Yeah.
you're not always roughly getting the same kind of information from
Yeah.
each podcast. So it's kind of
Right.
cool to see different ones, but I do like the idea of questions and having those questions that really make you think on your feet and everything.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of people say that they really like them. They're really neat. And especially when you just kind of run out of what to share, it gives me something to fall back on and go, hey, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I got like 45 questions to ask you if nothing else. So we're
right.
good. We're
Nice.
good. So I'd love for you to leave your contact information for our audience so they can reach out to you.
Yeah, so the best way really just reach out to me is on social media. So you can find me at Phillip Sessions on Instagram. I'll just leave it with the one. It's always easiest, but I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and I even have a Twitter account, but I'm not active there, and then
Yeah.
YouTube as well. And then my podcast, if you want to check that out, it's Speaking Sessions. So just like my last name. And that's
Uh,
really Instagram or podcast. Great way to reach me and get to hear more from me.
I love that. I'm gonna have to download that. I don't know if I did already. I have to check. I
Well, I
like
just
that. I
launched
didn't
it
even.
today, so you may
Oh,
not
okay.
have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess
So
I
if you
haven't.
did, you're really awesome. I mean, you're already awesome anyways, but you'd be more awesome if you already did that.
I will do that. I'll get it. I'll get it down there today. That's
Awesome. I
cool because
appreciate it.
I didn't even relate the last name, so that's perfect for you. I love
Yeah.
it. My last
Oh,
name
yeah.
is Hill, so I'm like, what goes with Hill? Other
Mhm.
than Hillside Strangler, that's not a good one. That sucks. So we'll scratch that one out.
Throw the trash over the hill. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm over the hill.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna go there.
I'll go there.
There you go.
Oh, it's so fun having a conversation with you. I loved you being on my podcast and I really appreciate it. I had a great time and I learned so much more about you. It's been awesome. And we'll definitely be following you more on Facebook as often as I can get on there. So that's awesome. And I truly appreciate it. You've been great.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on. It was awesome just be able to have a conversation back and forth, just talk
Yeah.
about different things and
Yeah.
really get to learn about you as well. And
Yeah.
again, so proud of you for starting the podcast and getting your message out there.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Well, everyone, we appreciate y'all listening to our show today, and y'all have an awesome day. And go out and be great, like Clifton would say. So we'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye bye.